am back for another sketchbook practice, and we are going to be talking about, for episode number 5, analogous colors. So last week we did complementary colors, and this week analogous. So on the color wheel, that means colors next to each other. And I have here a phthalo blue, a Prussian blue, and a phthalo green, and some gesso, because I'm going to use this as my white and lighten or tint these colors with it. I've also picked a very simple object to paint, this pair of scissors, and it's really just about getting the study of the piece down. And not worrying too much about, like, is this the most perfect thing to draw? It is just starting and learning the concepts. So I'm gonna get my page ready here with some clips, and we will get going. You will need a pencil to quickly sketch out your object. So I'm just gonna grab that, and I'm gonna draw it facing this way. So again, this is not about being an amazing illustrator. This is just about getting it done. So I always find that looking at basic shapes and thinking about what I'm really seeing is an important part of my process. So that's all I want you to do, is just look at and think about the shapes that you're seeing, whatever object you choose. Scissors are good because they have simple lines and they're something you see all the time. And it's really good to kind of look at those objects you think you're seeing and really see them for real. And just look at how the shapes form and connect to each other. I think we take a lot of seeing things for granted. So once you get your sketch down with your scissors, then it really is getting out your paint and playing with the color. I am going to get a couple of brushes here in different sizes. So I have this angled flat brush, this flat brush, and this little tiny one, and that should be able to get me kind of the variety I need. And I'm going to start with this Prussian blue because it's the darkest of my blues. And go ahead and put this down. Now remember, we're playing with analogous colors, and this is kind of experimenting with them and mixing. I like to mix right on the page. You can definitely mix on another surface, but I kind of like that it forces me to just go for it. And I'm looking at what this color looks like when I add white, this gesso, which creates a nice tint. I also have a clean jar of water here, so we're gonna get that in here. And I am working, this sketchbook I'm working in is watercolor paper, so it can kind of handle almost any medium you can throw at it, plus quite a bit of water. So that is nice. Depending on what book you're working in, you might have to moderate the amount of water that you're using. And I like that this is darker down here. So I'm gonna get some green in here. I'm going to put the green along the edge of this curve. I'm just going to go ahead and add a little water and just blend it right in to this blue here. Kind of work that. I'm going to put a little green down here as well, because we want to see how it interacts with this blue. And when you use analogous colors, it does give this almost sense of connection and harmony. And I find when I use cool analogous colors, because you can use analogous colors on the other side of the color wheel as well, with orange, red, and yellow. But since we used warmer orange last week, I thought it would be fun to just use all cool colors this time for the analogous. Let's get this phthalo blue in here. I'm going to put it up here so you can see the difference in color when I add white to it. You can see this becomes a much brighter blue with white added than this. The Prussian blue almost became a gray blue, where this phthalo blue is a really bright, punchy blue. I like to mix on the page too because it gives you kind of this color variety. That you don't get if you mix out your color on a palette as easily, because you'll have mixed it down to just kind of the pure color or tint or shade that you're working with. To go back to a little bit of this Prussian blue. And you'll want to just continue to work your colors until you have gone around your object and kind of seen them come together. In an interesting way. So I haven't added any white to this green yet. I'm going to put some of this phthalo green down and add white to tint that color and look at it as well. It's a nice kind of medium green. It does brighten it, but it's almost in between how punchy this phthalo blue is and how muted this Prussian blue is. Kind of right in between. Adding a little water and kind of thinning it out there. And at this point, it is kind of playing with colors, letting them overlap, letting them kind of mix together, meld together. Add a little wash over here just because I have quite a bit of this blue on my brush. I always look for opportunities in my sketchbook too to add backgrounds if I have extra paint, to add washes where I can draw something later that might be interesting. Now, in between here, I think I'm gonna do a little bit of this phthalo blue and some white. I like how bright and punchy that color is, but I'm going to add a little bit of this Prussian blue just to add a little personality to these areas, so it's not just so flat of a color. Now we have our scissors and we have our analogous colors working together, and now it is looking for kind of how do we want to add a little personality to our scissors. And I'm thinking I'm going to use a tiny touch of green and a whole bunch of white, and look for how I can kind of bring these scissors to life a little bit. Don't be afraid to paint everything on your page, and look for ways that you can really push your couple analogous colors with each other. So I used quite a bit of water. I've almost turned this green into a wash. And I'm going to add more gesso. And even some white here, just straight on this edge to kind of push my object up a little bit. And then I'm gonna do this little dot here in Prussian, just to make that contrast really pop. And this isn't about capturing what the actual scissors look like. It's really truly about capturing how you want these scissors to look and learning how to work with analogous colors. So there we go. We've used 3 colors. We've done a nice little study illustration of these scissors. We've seen how these 3 colors, Prussian blue, phthalo blue, and phthalo green, reacted to water, reacted to gesso or white, and how each of them came together and added their own little personality to the page. So try this out. Play with your own analogous colors if you don't have these exact colors. See what you can create and see how you can bring ordinary everyday object to life in a fun and interesting way while you play with this technique. I hope you enjoyed, and I will be back next Wednesday with another sketchbook series, and you can catch all of them if you want to go back and watch the last 4, and you can always grab my $5 mini class too and catch up on all of series 1 that I did last year. I hope you have a great day and keep creating. Bye!